Welcome everyone to Zoom into Books this afternoon. Headline Books is celebrating the first anniversary of Zoom into Books. We had our first broadcast April 1st, and we are bringing our authors to you in this form again this year. We've had so much fun doing this. Today we have children's book authors with us. We have Suzanne Alexander, who's written 2 children's books, Millie Snyder, who has a brand new children's book out this month, and her Lean and Luscious cookbook series. And we have Eileen Cooley with the highly awarded recognized book, Why Do My Feet Say Yes and My Head Says No? And we're going to start off today with Suzanne. And if you have questions for the authors, please type them in the comments section on Facebook, and we'll make sure that all your questions get answered. So Suzanne, would you please tell the viewers a little about yourself and what inspired your books?
Okay, I am an former teacher and a librarian. And for over 12 years, I was part of the Huntington Museum of Art's Museum Making Connections programs. I would visit schools and present features about art. And also I am a docent at the Huntington Museum of Art. I haven't had a chance to do any docenting since the start of the pandemic, but I'm planning to get back to it. The museum has wonderful catalogs on their collection for adults over the years, but they never had any catalogs about their art collection for children. So I decided to write one, and that's my book, Through Children's Eyes, Exploring the Huntington Museum of Art. That was my first book. And then I have always loved children's stories, and what I did is, ever since I was very young, I read what they call wise stories. A wise story is an origin tale. It actually explains why something is the way it is, but it's fiction. It's no science fact, it's all imagination. And when I was very young, I still have this over 100-year-old copy of Mother West Wind's Children that it was my great aunt's book. And one of the stories is Why Peter Rabbit's Ears Are Long. I love those stories. I also read Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories. One is The Elephant's Child, and it's Why the Elephant Has a Long Trunk. And we've had fox in our yard, a red fox, and they all have a white tip at the end of their tail, all the ones that we've seen in our yard. And I thought, oh, what a really, really cute wise story that would make. And that's how I came up with my latest book, published in November by Headline Books, The Tip of the Tail. So that's basically what has inspired me over the years. Animals in the yard and artwork at the museum, and even their nature trails at the museum.
Thank you, Suzanne. Your books are so entertaining.
Thank you.
And she has gone between nonfiction and fiction. Mm-hmm. A lot of authors usually stick with one genre. And they're both, of course, they're fabulous books. They were books. So, Millie, would you please tell the audience about your career and your books, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Kathy. And this is a great opportunity to be able to share the love that I have for the Lean and Luscious cookbook series, and now being able to have one for children. I'm very, very excited about that because I think children need to be encouraged with love and support, not to be afraid to go into the kitchen and try and follow a recipe with some parental guidance, and know that it's okay to make a mistake or have a simple recipe turn out great. It does an awful lot as a confidence builder. It makes the child feel very comfortable, and that primarily is my drive to want to do a children's book. I have been doing healthy cookbooks for a very long time, and I'm thrilled to be part of Headline Books. My main inspiration to do healthy cookbooks came from my life's work. I had the very wonderful privilege to become a franchise owner for Weight Watchers, and my territory covered 68 counties spread over 4 states. And I did that for 44 years and then sold the franchise back to Weight Watchers International in 2013. But that didn't mean that I was done being in the area of helping people help themselves. And that really is the essence of what group support is. No one loses weight for anyone, or no one helps anyone get healthy. They have to have the guidelines, and they need a push and a hug in the right direction. And so, albeit I sold Weight Watchers, and it's hard to even say it, but it's true that it soon will be 8 years ago. 3 years after I sold, I then became re-inspired, and I decided to change horses, if you will, and stop doing Weight Watchers guidelines and pick up the Mediterranean lifestyle. And I haven't looked back since, because it's such a clean, healthy way of eating. And when you do the Mediterranean lifestyle, you don't eat anything that's processed. And people say, well, where do you find the food? Well, it's in the perimeter of your supermarket. You just avoid going down the inside aisles, because that's where everything is processed. And it's all available. It would be very nice to go to the Mediterranean to shop, but especially now as we're coming through a pandemic, that's not nearly practical. So in my children's cookbook, I've taken some recipes from each of the books and tried to put in easy, simple things. I remember when I was growing up, I was going to cut myself, put that knife down, don't move that over there, you're going to break that. So, being in the kitchen wasn't a comfortable thing, and I wanted to change that. So I have Lean and Luscious, I have Lean and Luscious Meatless. There are many, many people who are vegetarians, and if they're not vegetarians, they just want good tasting food, and they don't want to include anything that once had a mother, if you know what I mean. I'm just trying to put a little bit of a humorous spin to it. And so my third book is the Mediterranean lifestyle. And I want to be able to cover the things that I think people need to improve the quality of their health. And we all want to have recipes that taste good, that are easy to do. I don't think people want to dirty 5 pots and have a sink full to clean up because they made 1 or 2 recipes. It should be easy, it should be quick, and it should be fun. One of the recipes that I have in my first book, it's a potato soup. And I remember doing a book signing at Taylor Books in Charleston, and this man came over and he wanted a sample. Then he wanted a second sample. Then he wanted a third sample. Well, when he asked for the 4th sample, I should have thought, well, maybe he would like to have a bowl of soup. But after the 4th sample, he came over to me and he said, "Shame on you, Miss Snyder." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You can't call this lean and luscious." I said, "Why is that, sir?" He said, "Because you put cream in it." And then I opened the book to page 18 and I showed him the recipe. And in fact, it is made with evaporated skim milk. So I think I'm happy to tell you he bought a book. But it was just a funny thing because he liked what he tasted. And then, after 4 samples, then he took me on. And I was able to share with him that everything we've put together in our books are healthy, delicious, and well, your taste buds will tell the tale. But the other part is it should be easy to make a meal or a snack happen. And that's pretty much the concept that I've put into the children's book. I'm a grandmother, and on 2 of my books, I have my grandchildren on the cover. And I can tell you not so much about my granddaughters, but I can tell you that my grandsons, none of the 3 of them are strangers in the kitchen. Children shouldn't feel like they have to wait for their mother or their father or the babysitter to come home so they can have something to eat. They are encouraged to be in the kitchen and to understand that they also have to clean up. And I think those are good disciplines to have. And those are some of the ideas that I incorporated into the children's book. Let's make those who we help grow up self-sufficient so they know how to take care of themselves and have some fun in the process. So I have enjoyed doing these books, and primarily the whole inspiration is to do something that we have to do every day: eat, make it healthy, make it delicious, and make it good for you. And that's kind of what my driving force is all about. And I continue to do that. And also I maintain a food store in Charleston. It's called the Shape Shop. And just Thursday, a week ago, we celebrated our 46th anniversary in the Shape Shop. And my funny line about that is, at least I can hold a job. So it's a long time, and I hope to continue to do it for some more years. And I'm privileged to be part of such fine company.
Oh, thank you, Millie. Millie's just an amazing woman. She has endless energy, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Her cookbooks are wonderful. They use ingredients you already have at home. We all have those memories of cooking with our grandmothers, our mothers. So the children's cookbook, it makes kids self-sufficient, but it also builds memories from the kitchen, which is, as many of us know, you can smell bread cooking, or there's that special something, and in an instant you're transported back to 10 years old, or whatever your special memory is. Millie also recently bought a food truck.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. Yeah. I would love to bring my food truck someplace like, where Headline Books is going to be. That would be pretty cool.
Maybe we'll see you at the book festival in Charleston with that.
Well, that's a real possibility, but you have to go through a bunch of hoops if you're going to bring your food truck to the Civic Center. But who knows? That might be possible.
Thank you, Millie.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Eileen Cooley. Eileen, would you please tell us about your career? You've been a professor for a while, and about your book.
Okay. Well, I grew up in a family that liked to talk. And so I was always interested in thoughts and feelings, and became interested in mental health. And so I got a master's in counseling and then a doctorate in clinical psychology. And I've worked with both children and adults, and I've taught college classes, including abnormal and developmental psychology. And so I've always been interested in how people express their thoughts and feelings and how that can improve their lives. The inspiration for this book came about when I was at a friend's house, and she's an artist, the artist who, Jill Dubin, who did the illustrations in the book. And she had a picture of her daughter on an open spread with a in the middle, and she had her daughter's head on one side and her feet on the other. And I said, what a great idea for a book. And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, in a lot of psychology, we encourage people to identify more than one emotion. So most of the time, people don't have just one feeling, they may have both. So your head, what you should do might say one thing, what you want to do might be another, what you'd like to do might be one side, what you're afraid to do might be another. And to illustrate this for children, we separated the feelings onto two sides of the open book page so that people can see dilemmas. Children have decisions to make every day, and they might be afraid of something that they want to do, and to brainstorm with children how they might solve those difficulties. So in the children's book, Why Do My Feet Say Yes When My Head Says No? It's taking that principle and applying it to dilemmas that preschool children have. So the book is intended for 4 to 7 or 4 to 8-year-olds, although I've had people tell me their 2-year-olds liked it. And it teaches children self-awareness of their emotions and also 4 problem-solving strategies, including how to build a step, how to wait, how to find alternatives, and how to see the positive. A few years ago, I actually did a talk for a literacy group about the book, but about that this strategy could be used for any book. That the idea that when we read with children, it would be helpful if we would start saying, what do you think the character is thinking? And then when they answer, say, what else might they be thinking? And what do you think they're feeling? You know, they just went out into the woods for a walk, and what else? Get children to think kind of in a kind of multiple way about the different feelings you can have and how you learn about yourself in the process and how that can help you solve problems. So I think it's been a great experience doing the book and talking about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. This is a most unusual book. It also, in the back of the book, she's got all the scenarios from the book that you can use with a parent, a teacher, a caregiver. It's very well done, and it's won a lot of awards. All 3 of these authors have won Multiple Choice Awards, Indie Book Awards, Creative Child Magazine Awards. They have been very well received in the literary families. Eileen, you also authored another book from personal experience. Would you like to talk about that briefly?
I wrote a book called Newly Widowed, Now Socially Awkward, Facing Interpersonal Issues After Loss. And I wrote about my experience being a widow and how it changed my interpersonal relationships and still has. And so it's a memoir of situations that I experienced that were often extremely painful. And I wrote a section of how I could cope with it and how I could take care of myself. So it's been well received as well.
Often writing, many people find is the best therapy.
Right, definitely. Yeah.
Whether it's a personal journal or a memoir, sometimes you can lessen your burdens through writing. And I suggest you pick up Eileen's book. It's very good. We do have some photos together. We're going to take a look at some of these photos now. Headline Books does do quite a few events during the year. We do large national events like Book Expo America, the American Library Association Conference, and we've put together some photos. So Suzanne, would you like to tell people what these photos are, please? You're muted. You need to unmute.
Okay, now I should be correct. Okay, the one that's at the upper left of the screen is my book signing at the Huntington Museum of Art. I've also done book signings at the bottom at Heritage Station in Huntington and the Huntington Mall. And of course, with Headline Books, this is with my first book, Through Children's Eyes. I've even made origami frogs with some of the people who have come to my book signings. And actually in the upper right corner is there I am in the our screen-in porch with our woods in the background. You can't see a red fox up there, but sometimes we can see one. And there I am sitting and researching some fox facts for my book, The Tip of the Tail. On the last page of the book are, even though the book is fiction, I have some nonfiction facts about the fox. So those are some of my pictures there.
Let's move on. There you go.
Oh, there I go again at Headline Books. Yes. Some of the events at Headline Books, including their, yes, their Christmas show. I think we did in, I think it was in Milton, West Virginia.
Yes, at the Lions Club
Hmm.
show. That's always been an excellent show for us too. And a lot of people come to get their Christmas gifts and get books personalized at that show.
Definitely.
And I think the other two are the West Virginia Book Festival.
Yes. I plan to be there again this October.
Yes. We are so excited that we're going to actually get to do an in-person event.
I'm excited too. And I'll have my new book, The Tip of the Tail, there.
That's right. We'll have new authors, new books, and Millie and Suzanne will be with us at that show.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Looking forward to
Definitely.
that.
So let's,
Oh,
there you are.
there I am. And of course, I stopped coloring my hair, but I think now that I see this, I might go back to it. I don't know. But it's been quite a privilege to be so many different places, thanks to Headline Books, and meet such a wonderful array of people in so many different walks of life. And my books, for the most part, have been very, very well received. And that, of course, is very exciting. The Mediterranean book is not on display here because it's relatively new. And as the Mediterranean book was new, we got closer and closer to the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to a lot of people discovering that once we're able to be out and live and in person again. So there's a lot of good things coming forward, and I'm excited to have this opportunity. I also like to give recipe cards of different recipes in the books. And all I ask is that people give me their email address and I give them a free recipe. And some people turn that down because they don't want to give their email address. I don't do anything with it other than to use it for the purpose of being able to contact them and find out how they liked the book after they tried, not if they didn't buy the book, but if they gave me the email address, I could give them a recipe card and, just have create some sort of a dialogue moving forward. But it's been a great trip. So I hope to be able to continue doing that. And that picture with the shape shop, that's me in the middle. This was after the terrible flood that happened in 2016. And I had the privilege at that time to clothe 20 girls and 20 boys. And I was very happy to be able to do that. And they lost literally everything. So I'm just trying to explain some of those pictures. I kind of like that blue hat there. That looks kind of good. So, we've been lots of places and I hope to continue to do that. And
if we can go back one slide, please.
yeah, please.
The picture in the lower right, that's taken at the Greenbrier. We were there for the Women's Club conference.
Oh gosh, I didn't remember that one. I mean, I was there. I didn't remember the event.
That's right. And hopefully we'll get to do that. It's usually in the spring and March, and we love going to the Greenbrier.
Yeah.
The picture in the upper right-hand corner is a Tamarack. That's with Lean and Luscious Volume 1, shortly after it came out, I do believe.
Wow.
So in the lower left is Millie in New Orleans at the American Library Association National Conference. So
that was a great experience.
what?
That was a great experience. In fact, when we were there in New Orleans, we also had the opportunity to hear Michelle Obama speak, and that was a great thrill. Yes, but also we saw so many people in New Orleans. It was very exciting, very exciting.
At the Library Association conference, the national conference, librarians from all over the world come. Between ALA and we did NEA, the National Education Association conference, several years. The librarians loved meeting the headline authors. And one of the authors picked up virtual visits in New Zealand from that conference. So all these authors are happy to do virtual visits with your book club, your homeschool group, your classroom, your library. Fortunately, technology has given us the opportunity to allow us to travel much more than we could normally. One of the results of the pandemic, actually. So let's go to the next slide, please. And the middle at the bottom is Pipestem. We did a wholesale conference there. And
Yeah, we did that.
yeah, Millie has gone all over the country with us. And
Well, fortunately, I've been invited. I wasn't following you. I just decided to show up wherever you extended the invitation.
well, it's wonderful. We always have a good time, and it's fun for the authors to get to spend time together in the booth. We always have a good time.
Yeah.
So let's move forward here. And there's Eileen. Eileen was with us at the Christmas show. Do you remember that? That was wasn't too.
Yes, that was in Charlotte. That was great. It was very exciting. I also went to New York, I think, for the first time to one of the large events, but that was many years ago, but that was great too.
That's right. You and Millie both went to Book Expo America with us in New York City. BEA is held at the Javits Convention Center, and it is the largest book fair, second largest book fair in the world. And they got to sign books alongside movie stars, well-known authors. We were there at Mom's Choice Awards. Several of the authors also signed in their booth. And that was a place for us to connect with librarians, educators, chain store buyers. We negotiate foreign rights there too. So, and you, Eileen, you were there with your illustrator, Jill, weren't you?
Yes, yeah, to New York we both went, and it was great doing it together, and it was very exciting to be at that event. And we, and we went to the Mom's Choice Award booth, and it was very exciting.
Yeah, it's now I think we can move on here. Those familiar to you, Eileen?
Yeah, well, the picture on the right is the Women's March in Atlanta that was pouring, and I was a volunteer with the Women's March. And the book in the middle was my original cover, but the book and the picture on the left is from San Miguel de Allende, and that was from it's one of the largest literary writing conferences in the world. And it's both, for both a lot of Spanish and English speaking. And the woman with me is a friend from second grade who now lives in San Miguel de Allende. And we both had books that were displayed and sold at that event, and went to a lot of writing workshops. So it was an amazing experience. If anyone they have it every year at San Miguel de Allende.
That's wonderful. Going to conferences, writing conferences and book fairs and festivals, not only do you learn from other people, but a lot of times you are also afforded the opportunity to do workshops yourself. And that's always very exciting for the authors.
And I had the children's book at that one too, but it just wasn't in that picture. And so it's kind of nice to sell to an international audience.
Yeah. Because picture books They don't need a language, right?
Right, right. So everybody could buy it. Yeah, that was more popular than the one written in English.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's move on. I think that that is all the, yes, that's all the pictures we have. So I'd like to ask each of you to tell us about your most memorable author moment. Suzanne, let's start with you.
Well, my most memorable so far is I actually appeared on WSAZ on their Studio 3 at 11, usually held every day at 11 a.m. WSAZ is an NBC affiliate. And I was on their show talking about the tip of the tail. And I even got to make a Red Fox finger puppet with the hostess of the show. So that was really memorable. That was my first television appearances. We won't even discuss the one in high school. So this is my second television appearance, which was a whole lot better than playing the violin when I was a teenager in high school on a local television station.
Oh, that's funny. I know a lot of you do a lot of media interviews, and that's wonderful too. Millie, you've been a lot of places. What's your most memorable author experience?
Well, my most memorable was, gosh, I'm trying to actually decompartmentalize them in my head. The truth of the matter is, every one of them has had such excitement to it because you meet a variety of people. I've had a wonderful time wherever we've gone, and I really have a difficulty saying, well, New Orleans was better than Washington, D.C., or that it was better than going to New York City. In my view, there is nothing better than going to New York City because there's so much to do and so many wonderful people to meet, especially by way of being an author and having the opportunity to sign books. But every one of them for me have been great. Pretty much like Suzanne, I too have had the opportunity to be on the Studio 3 at 11 o'clock with WSAZ, and I've promoted the Mediterranean book because it was the newest, and at the same time they've given me the opportunity to share the Meatless book as well as Lean and Luscious. And once the children's book is in my hands, I'm going to be back on that program talking about the children's book. But the truth of the matter is, every experience I've had, with great thanks to Kathy and where you have plotted us by way of the books, has been a great experience in and of itself. And I'm extremely grateful for those opportunities. So I very much am looking forward to the book festival and then the Southern Christmas show, because, you know, at every show you meet a variety of different people, and it's just a lot of fun. It's very enriching. And of course, when you can help people buy a healthy cookbook, you just feel good inside, because if they use it, then they're going to make themselves very happy with the end result, providing they follow the directions. That's all I can say. Thank you very much.
Yes, you have to use it in order to
You
get
have to use it. You just can't buy it. You have to use it and share it with the people in your life that you love.
That's true, very true. Eileen, what's your most memorable author moment?
Okay, well, I have two different things. The most fun has been when people share pictures of their children reading my book. And that's probably been the most exciting thing. And someone writing me saying, your book is my child's favorite. They keep wanting to read it. So that's the most fun on a very personal level. Probably the event that I thought was the best in terms of having impact was the time that I mentioned earlier, when I talked to a group of reading tutors and trying to get them to teach children to be more aware of their emotions and their feelings, so to develop their social emotional competence. I felt like I was helping teachers who were going to go out and help a lot of different children with this skill. So that was the idea of helping teachers use their time, tutors use their time teaching reading skills to go beyond the reading skills to teach social and emotional skills. So that was probably the most exciting, and I like having that level of impact.
That's great. I know from your background, after this year that we have been through with the pandemic, I think children's books for young children have become very important. Would you like to speak to how people have coped or can cope through the pandemic? I know things are getting better now, but we still have schools that aren't fully in session.
Right, and I think that parents, particularly parents at home, have had a very difficult time juggling. And I think teaching children to take breaks, teaching, in addition to the skills in my book, which are, finding alternatives and waiting and, trying to approach things that you're afraid of, it also is important to teach children to take breaks and to give themselves time to relax and enjoy and to laugh, even while they're out sitting there on the screen all day. I also think it's important to teach children the skill to ask for help, which is another skill that I think when they're home working on their schoolwork, they may feel stuck and all alone and kind of lost. So they're asking their parents if they're available, older siblings. Sometimes the kids are pretty savvy. They can email a teacher. But I think that learning skills so that when you're stuck or you're feeling a strong emotion, you develop ways both to manage it and to regulate it.
That's very true. Suzanne, I know that you've been doing some virtual events and able to reach children during the pandemic with your new book and your crafts that go along with these books. And I have to tell the story before you do that. I think it was at the Lions Club show. She brought out the frogs, the origami frogs that she makes. And everybody that came to the table, we were having leapfrog races. And it just goes to show that a book is not just a book. A book has so many different facets to it. We can pull characters, crafts, activities. Readers theater is a really fun one for classrooms. And actually we've had groups, homeschool groups, do readers theater on Zoom. So each kid is a character from the book and they have the author there and everybody reads their parts. So it's something that transcends the classroom too. But tell us about your outreach to children during the pandemic, please.
Well, I have done the directions on how to make a red fox finger puppet with children. I actually did that on WSAZ as well for that Studio 3 program. And I'm doing also a workshop shortly on how to write a why story for elementary students. So
that's great. And kids really do enjoy writing.
Yes.
Is be encouraged. That's true. And Millie, when your children's book, her children's book will be out in probably 3 weeks. So Millie can Zoom with you about her recipes.
I'd love to do that. That would be great.
It would be fun to have kids make some things and then do a Zoom session with them. So there's so many activities you can pull from all the children's books, actually. I'd like for each one of you to tell people how they can get in touch with you, because I know that all of you are happy to do visits when we can do in-person visits and virtual visits until that time. Suzanne, would you like to tell people how to get in touch with you?
Yes, you can get in touch with me through either email, which is what I use, SALEXAN13 @yahoo.com, or through Facebook. You can easily get through if you're, message me through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'm all there.
Multifaceted, that's good.
Yes.
Millie, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, of course, we have our own website, leanandluscious.com, and we welcome any and all inquiries. We also sell our books at the Shape Shop in Charleston, and anyone who comes in, and I'm there at the time, I'm happy to autograph the book and find out something about them and kind of give a little bit of instruction and things that I'd like them to look for and kind of, get a little bit of a history. I'm available on Facebook. And I also have a personal email, which is mwsmalka@suddenlink.net. And I answer all questions, all inquiries, and I'm happy to make myself available in any way, shape, and form that someone would like to make it a good experience to experience Lean and Luscious.
That's wonderful. And I know that you also do workshops for people. And
Well, I teach the Mediterranean lifestyle, and because of the pandemic, the group is quite small. But I think as things begin to change, people are going to, join, and probably going, right now I meet at the Shape Shop, but we're going to get another location because there's just too much going on when you're trying to have a meeting when people are coming in as customers. So we're going to fix all of that, but we'll be able to do that now that things are hopefully on the mend for all of us. So
that's true. Eileen, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can either email me, and I still have, because I taught for so many years at Agnes Scott College, I have an Agnes Scott College email address, which is ecooley@agnescott.edu. But because I also am a practicing psychologist, my website also lists my office number, and I've had people call me about books through my office number, which is website, which is www.eileencooleyphd.com. So people can reach me either way, or they could contact you and certainly find me as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And for the people watching, I have posted the links in the Facebook comments on the YouTube channel. Once this video is up on the Zoom Into Books YouTube channel, we'll have the contact links at the end of the video for people who would like to get in touch with these authors. I would like to thank all three of you so much for coming on to Zoom Into Books today. This is so much fun, and it's so nice to catch up with the authors, see what you're doing now. Do you all have future events already scheduled you'd like to tell us about, Suzanne?
There, it's now unmuted. Okay, the next event that I'll be at will be at Heritage Station in Huntington when they have their second Saturday market from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that would be on Saturday, May the 8th.
Great, great. Millie or Eileen, do you have anything coming up right away?
I don't have anything coming up right away. I'll let Millie answer, but I'm open to, I love talking to groups who work with children in reading and emotional literacy.
Well, also pretty much what Eileen said, I don't have anything scheduled right now, but as soon as the children's book is available, I do hope to get some newspaper coverage as well as be able to talk about it. I also do a radio program, which I failed to mention, with Dave Allen on WCHS radio, and I'm on at the very minimum once a month. So assuredly, I will be talking about the children's book, and I've already been on that program talking about the three books, and I bring them I cook something from one of the books, and he eats it on the air, and so yeah, and he loves it. We have a great time, and we have a good rapport with the listening audience. In fact, I've had some customers come into the store and say they wanted to see me. They heard me on the radio, so that's a lot of fun.
That's great. So, so between these three authors, you could buy the cookbook, Fix a Snack, and read Tip of the Tail and Why Do My Yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be good.
Thank you all so much. Thank you everyone on Facebook for joining us. You can watch these videos on the Headline Books and the Zoom into Books Facebook pages for the time being. If you joined late, go ahead and watch the beginning. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Zoom into Books. And we thank you for coming and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy, and to everybody.
Thank you, Kathy, as well, and everyone who made this possible. Have a great day.